been down there, you know, if you come in, there's kind of like a big sidewalk with an awning over it. And as I was walking in, there were like 4 little walnuts laying on the sidewalk. And I thought, well, that's really odd. And so I moved them aside. And I went into my office and did whatever it is I do during the day, whatever Deb tells me to do. And then as I was coming back out, the little walnuts were back across the sidewalk. So I pushed them aside again and I went home. And then the next time I came back, there was little walnuts laying on the sidewalk. I'm like, well, something's going on here. And so I go, and there's like a plate glass door, and so I'm kind of like watching. And up through the crack in the sidewalk, I mean literally like the crack in the sidewalk, comes this little chipmunk. And I don't know, those little fellas must have like rubber bones or something, because I mean literally it's like a 1/4-inch crack, and that little thing comes up, and he's kind of breaking up the nuts and bringing the pieces down. He's made a little burrow under the sidewalk, which is probably a pretty good spot. And so I was really amazed at the ingenuity and the industriousness of this little chipmunk, gathering the nuts, because the tree where the nuts are is like on the other side of the parking lot. He had to go a long way to get those nuts and bring them over, and then he had to break them all up and get them down into his little tiny hole so he'll be set for winter. I hope he makes it. I am not very much like that chipmunk at all. This year, once again, I was shocked that it's winter. Every year, I am never prepared, and inevitably the same thing happens every year. It snows, and then I go, oh, I'd better clean out the garage so I can put my car away. And that's what happened. About a couple weeks ago, it snowed, and there's snow all over my car, and I have to go out and I have to, brush it all off. And then I clean out the garage from the summer when my son's stuff is just laying everywhere and neaten it up so I can get my car in. And then I have to go in the backyard and put away the patio furniture and everything. And the same thing happens every year. You think at some point I'm going to go, I should get ready before it snows. But nope, I never have. Maybe someday. And so I was thinking as I was doing these readings today, I think that in terms of faith, I'm pretty sure Jesus would like us to be more like the chipmunk and less like me in terms of winter. Because I think what Jesus is saying is not so much that we have to like store up our treasures or whatever, but that we don't really know when winter's coming. That little chipmunk doesn't know when winter's coming, and I have a little more clue because at least I can like read the weather forecast, but we don't really know until it actually happens. But in terms of winter, the little chipmunk is prepared, and I'm kind of taken by surprise, and so I have to go and clean the car off of snow and scrape the ice, which I really hate doing, and I have to go and brush all of the patio furniture off so I can put it away and clean up, right? So there's a cost to me because I'm unprepared. And I think when it comes to our faith, what Jesus is telling us is, metaphorically, winter is coming. This isn't Game of Thrones, but winter is coming. And in this case, the Son of Man is coming. There's going to come an end to the age. And we don't know when it's coming. In fact, what Jesus tells us, I think reading between the lines here, what Jesus is saying is, stop worrying about that and guessing about it. Just be prepared every day. Just always be ready. And I think that's right, because as the letter from Paul writes, like, now is the moment. Now is the moment for us to put on the armor of light. Because I believe that in every day there are probably opportunities for us to act out our faith in a meaningful way. Right? That Jesus is telling us and asking us to respond as though Jesus was coming today. Right? To not put it off into the future. To not think that, well, one of these days I'm going to be good. One of these days I'm going to go, provide some food to the food pantry, or I'm going to make a donation to, whatever ministry is going on, or whatever, charity that you're a part of, or there's someone, you need to go visit, and you're going to go, well, I'll do that later. That there are opportunities every day for us to do the things that Jesus is inviting us to do, right? To be God's loving agents in the world. I'm losing my belt. Hold on. There we go. That there are opportunities for us every day to emulate Jesus in our own lives. And to take those opportunities as they come. And sometimes they're big opportunities, and sometimes they're just small things that we can do to help a neighbor, or to be there for a friend, or to make a difference, to make just a kind gesture to a sales clerk who's having a really hard day because people aren't very nice sometimes. That there are opportunities for us to reflect the light of God's love into the darkness of the world every single day. And I think that that's how we prepare ourselves to, because remember the story elsewhere in the gospel where again Jesus is talking about the coming end of the age, and he said, people are going to be surrounding me, and I'm going to tell you, like when someone needed help, like when I needed help, you weren't there for me. And they're like, when did you need help, Jesus? We would totally have helped you if we had known. And Jesus says, well, whenever you met anyone who is in need, it's like meeting me. Right? And that's how he differentiates people. It's not about if you believed right or if you were, the best choir member of the church, or it's in none of that stuff. It's about how you responded to the needs of the world to the best of your ability to do so. That when you see someone, it's like seeing Jesus himself. And so Jesus asks us to be prepared to be generous, to be prepared to give. Because of that day and hour, no one knows. It's like in our own lives, they too are coming to an end, and we don't know when that's going to be. And so we should take the opportunity every day to be the people that I think we all really want to be. People who are kind, people who are generous, people who are giving, people who are patient. I especially need this reminder when I'm driving. I got to be honest with you. Because as far as I can tell, I'm the only person who ever learned to drive right. Of course. And I think everybody else feels the same way. And as I've gotten older, of course, I've realized that I'm actually, I'm not that great of a driver. I mean, I think I do okay, but we could all afford to be a little more generous and a little more gracious as we go through our lives. In the small interactions and in the big, to be there for the people who need us, to be able to respond to those in need. That's what Jesus means when he says you should be prepared. That's what Paul means when he says put on the armor of light. To be the people that I think truly in our hearts we imagine we are, at least, that we aspire to be. To be saints. And I don't mean that you have to have a halo around you, but to be a person whose life is modeled after the example of Jesus. That's how we prepare ourselves, and that's how we know we will be ready when Jesus does come.